Well, it's official. Tulsi Gabbard is suing Hillary Clinton for $50 million. Now, I know in a previous report, I said that she was suing Hillary, but actually she was just exploring suing Hillary Clinton. And she had actually sent her a letter demanding that she retract her statements when she called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset, when she said that she was being groomed to be a third-party candidate. If you don't remember the entire scenario of what created all of this, Hillary Clinton went on a podcast called Campaign Headquarters with David Floof, who I guess he was an advisor to the Obama administration, to Obama. And on this podcast, she makes these claims. Take a listen.
They're also going to do third party again. And I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
Agent,
yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally. And so they know they can't win without a third party candidate. And so I don't know who it's going to be, but I will guarantee you they'll have a vigorous third party challenge in the key states that they most need it.
Jill Stein needs to join in on this defamation lawsuit as well, because she also calls Jill Stein a Russian asset. Also, she makes this assertion that the Republican Party can't win unless the Democratic Party has a third party candidate. But it's like she forgets that the Republican Party also has to contend with their own third party. It's often libertarian. Last time it was Gary Johnson. So she acts like, they get to keep all of their votes, but the votes are split on the Democratic side because there's a third party candidate. No, what she needs to realize is that the third party candidate, Jill Stein, received as many votes as she did because so many people didn't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. That's what happened. These ridiculous claims. So anyway, she's being sued, rightfully so. Tulsi Gabbard is taking her to court in the Southern District of New York. Here's the actual lawsuit. We're going to go over some of it. Now, a lot of it's boring legal jargon, so we won't go into the minutia of it. But a lot of it, Tulsi hits Hillary really hard, and it's quite salty. So we're gonna read over the good stuff here. So it's Tulsi Gabbard and Tulsi Now Inc. versus Hillary Rodham Clinton. Says here, plaintiffs Tulsi Gabbard and Tulsi Now Inc., collectively Tulsi, bring this lawsuit against defendant Hillary Rodham Clinton for defamation. Tulsi Gabbard is running for president of the United States, a position Clinton has long coveted but has not been able to attain. In October 2019, whether out of personal animus, political enmity, or fear of real change within a political party, Clinton and her allies have long dominated, Clinton lied about her perceived rival Tulsi Gabbard. She did so publicly, unambiguously, and with obvious malicious intent. Tulsi has been harmed by Clinton's lies, and American democracy has suffered as well. With this action, Tulsi seeks to hold Clinton and the political elites who enable her accountable for distorting the truth in the middle of a critical presidential election. Good for you, Tulsi. We're going to keep reading here. Nature of the case. Tulsi Gabbard has lived her life with one guiding principle, putting the needs of others before her own. That's why she joined the Army National Guard. That is why she campaigned for and was elected to the United States House of Representatives. And that is why she is running for president. Living by this principle, Tulsi has put the country's needs above all else, even when it means hurting her political career. For example, in February 2016, Tulsi believed the best Democratic presidential candidate for our country was Senator Bernie Sanders. She also knew that Clinton had a stranglehold over the Democratic Party and that crossing Clinton, who considered herself the inevitable nominee, could mean the end of her own political career. Yet Tulsi put the country before herself, and she publicly endorsed Senator Sanders, becoming the most prominent politician to do so at the time. And this is really where the beef begins between Hillary Clinton and Tulsi Gabbard. Hillary, I know many of you aren't into astrology, but I am. She is a Scorpio, and Scorpios, they like to get revenge. If you're a Scorpio and you're watching, you know exactly what I mean. So Hillary, clearly she hates Bernie Sanders. She's still trying to get him, as we've seen. She's smearing Bernie Sanders. She's doing anything to topple him. She hates Tulsi Gabbard for backing Bernie Sanders and for resigning from the DNC. And she hates Jill Stein also for taking away her votes. She feels like Jill Stein took her votes away, like as if she's owed our votes. Like I'm supposed to give her my vote. And that's what I owe her this. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So she's got this kind of list of people that she's after. Putin and Bernie, Tulsi, and Jill Stein. So it goes on to say Clinton, a cutthroat politician by any account. I mean, this is hilarious. This is a legal document. This is the actual lawsuit. Has never forgotten this perceived slight. And in October 2019, she sought retribution by lying publicly and loudly about Tulsi Gabbard. Specifically, in widely disseminated national comments, Clinton falsely stated that Tulsi, an Army National Guard officer and United States Congresswoman who has spent her entire adult life serving this country, is a Russian asset. Clinton's false assertions were made in a deliberate attempt to derail Tulsi's presidential campaign. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about somebody who is currently an officer in our military, who is currently serving as a congresswoman in the United States Congress, and you're sitting there saying that she's a Russian asset? Those are big claims. She says here, Clinton has no basis for making her false assertions about Tulsi, and indeed, there is no factual basis for Clinton's conspiracy theory. Clinton's peddling of this theory has harmed Tulsi, has harmed American voters, and has harmed American democracy. Tulsi brings this lawsuit to ensure that the truth prevails and to ensure this country's political elites are held accountable for intentionally trying to distort the truth in the midst of a critical presidential election. Factual allegations. Background here. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi is a 4-term United States Congresswoman, a major in the National Guard, and a military combat veteran of Iraq. Tulsi is running for president of the United States as a member of the Democratic Party. Tulsi's presidential campaign is the culmination of a long career of public service and a desire to step up when called upon for duty. As a child, Tulsi's parents would enlist her and her siblings in service days, where the family would pick up litter from beaches or prepare food for homeless families. At the age of 21, Tulsi began serving in the Hawaii State Legislature. So right there, we're seeing a long history of service, not to the Russians, no, but to the American people. Motivated by the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, Tulsi made the decision to dedicate her life to protect the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. She enlisted in the Hawaii Army National Guard. In 2004, as Tulsi was campaigning for re-election to the State House, the Hawaii National Guard's 29th Brigade combat team was called upon to deploy to Iraq. Tulsi's name was not on the mandatory deployment roster, but she knew there was no way she could stay behind as her brothers and sisters in arms were sent off to war, possibly never to return. So Tulsi left an easy re-election campaign and volunteered to deploy the first of 2 deployments in the Middle East as a soldier. Service right there. Sorry, I get a little teary about that, but that's service right there. I mean, unfortunately, she didn't realize that she was marching off to the worst war in American history besides Vietnam, but none of our troops knew. They didn't know that they were walking into that trap. They didn't realize that our politicians had set them up. They had signed up to defend this country, and they got the wool pulled over their eyes in the worst of ways. Many of them lost their lives. People should go to jail for this. Nobody has. Between tours of duty in the Middle East, Tulsi worked in the United States Senate as a legislative aide to the Senator Danny Akaka, where she focused on veterans issues. After her 2 deployments, Tulsi returned to Hawaii to serve on the Honolulu City Council, and today Gabbard continues to serve, now as a 4th-term United States Congresswoman and as a major in the National Guard with 16 years of service. Not a Russian asset, Hillary Clinton. Goes on here. Hillary Clinton. Clinton was the 2016 Democratic Party nominee for President of the United States Secretary of State from 2009 until 2013, a United States Senator for the state of New York from 2001 to 2009, and the First Lady of the United States from 1993 to 2001. Clinton also ran for president in 2008, but she failed to secure the Democratic Party nomination. In both the 2008 and 2016 presidential elections, Clinton was the clear front runner, but she ultimately lost in surprise upsets, first to President Barack Obama in the 2008 presidential primary, then to President Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential election. Now, it's really important to hash out all of the service that Hillary Clinton has also given to this country, because it makes her comments that more vile. It makes them that more suable, really. If she were just your regular average person, no big deal, right? I mean, it's like, okay, But this is somebody who served as a senator for the United States, as Secretary of State with the highest security clearance. This is somebody who has inside information into the intelligence community, somebody who should know all of the nitty-gritty of what is going on in this country. So for her, a person with this level of service, who was First Lady, a senator, a Secretary of State, who's run for president twice, somebody at that level of politics, to call somebody else a Russian asset is absolutely defamatory. Because so many people are going to sit there and think, well, she must know something. She has top-level security clearance. She must know something. That's the problem. Clinton's defaming Tulsi. Clinton's defamatory statements. On October 17th, 2019, Clinton was a guest on the podcast Campaign HQ with David Floof. In the course of a widely distributed national interview, Clinton stated the following regarding somebody who is currently in the Democratic Party who they are grooming to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far, and that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not because she's also a Russian asset. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, oh my gosh, Jill Stein, seriously, join in on this. Campaign HQ with David Floof is a popular and prominent political podcast. The podcast is hosted by David Floof, President Barack Obama's former campaign manager. Campaign HQ with David Floof has a large audience and is available for streaming through Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio.com, and Player FM, amongst other places. The podcast is produced and hosted by Cadence 13, a company valued around $50 million. The next day, October 18th, Clinton doubled down on the defamatory statements. A CNN reporter asked Clinton's official spokesman, Nick Merrill, whether the defamatory statements were about Tulsi. Clinton's spokesman responded, "If the nesting doll fits." He continued, "This is not some outlandish claim. This is reality." Nesting dolls, by the way, are Russian. Pun intended. Clinton's defamatory statements immediately harmed Tulsi, despite reprobation of Clinton by several 2020 presidential candidates, including Senator Bernie Sanders, Marianne Williamson, and Andrew Yang, for her baseless conspiracy mongering. Clinton's defamatory statements spread like wildfire across the internet and took on a life of their own. Millions of Americans heard or read about a well-known authority figure, Clinton, stating as fact that Tulsi was a Russian asset and a favorite of the Russians. Scientifically conducted opinion surveys have shown that Clinton's false, malicious statements about Tulsi were accepted as true. I can attest to that. So many people who know that I'm a supporter of Tulsi Gabbard, so many of my friends actually came to me and said, oh, I heard she's a Russian asset. You like the Russian asset? So it really did absolutely harm her. In short, Clinton got exactly what she wanted by lying about Tulsi. She harmed her political and personal rival's reputation and ongoing presidential campaign and started a damaging whisper campaign based on baseless but vicious untruths. I've got to wonder, for how long in Tulsi's life is she going to be asked, are you a Russian asset? Are you a Russian asset? How long is she going to have to live with this smear? Because it could be a very long time. Even, if she's out of politics one day, retired, living off on her island in Hawaii, are people going to come up to her and say, oh, you're the Russian asset? It's terrible. Clinton refuses to retract the defamatory statements. Despite calls from Tulsi and other public figures to correct the record, Clinton did not retract the defamatory statements, nor did she apologize for the defamatory statements. Before bringing this lawsuit, Tulsi wrote to Clinton and advised her of the complete and total falsity of the defamatory statements. Tulsi also asked Clinton to retract the defamatory statements. Clinton refused to retract the defamatory statements and instead stood by them. She continues to stand by them. She refuses to apologize, and Tulsi continues to be greatly injured. Yeah. So the big question is there a chance that this lawsuit can actually go somewhere? Tulsi is suing for $50 million. Probably they'll settle out of court, potentially. I don't know if Hillary will actually settle or not, if she'll try to take it all the way. It's kind of hard to say what Hillary's going to decide to do on this. But I do think that Tulsi has a serious case here. Again, it wouldn't be really a case if it was just some Joe Schmo. But the fact is, this is somebody who has top-level security clearance, who served as Secretary of State, as a U.S. Senator, who was First Lady, who ran for president twice, who's in with the intelligence community. And people take her words as fact. And we all know that the higher your office, the more power you have, have, the more careful you need to be with your words. It's what everybody says about Donald Trump, for example. It's what Hillary Clinton says about Donald Trump, that he needs to be more careful because, with his office, there comes great power. Well, with Hillary Clinton's stature, there also comes great power, and there can be great damage. And that is what she's done to Tulsi Gabbard. She has Hillary Clinton, to her self-admitting what she said yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter interview. She says, luckily, I still have a big following and a voice. She knows she has a following. She knows she has a voice. She knows people listen to her. So when she sits there and calls somebody a Russian asset, people really believe it. They believe it. So this is a real problem. I think Tulsi's going to win something. I don't know if she'll get $50 million. Hopefully. Maybe she'll buy me dinner. But certainly she, I think, has an actual case here. So, Hillary Clinton, I think there's enough said here. So good luck to you, Tulsi, on this lawsuit. And of course, I'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on with it, the latest developments. Lawsuits take a long time typically. So we'll see how this one pans out, and I will keep you updated for sure. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. The more subscribers this channel gets, the more they put this content in front of new viewers. And we do want to get new viewers in front of independent media. Thank you so much. If you'd like to support this show, you can do so. The links are down below. I am a one-person operation. I work on my own solo. So all of your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. More to come.